Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
Uh-huh.
And I'm Daniel, first class.
And as Daniel just haphazardly alluded to, we're talking about X-Men First Class, which came out in 2011, and it is intended to be a prequel. I view this movie, given which we'll get into, the continuity errors, I view this as like a reboot to the X-Men franchise. And I think it was definitely intended to be a reboot. And it seems like Fox decided to remold it, especially for the second movie that comes after this, into connecting it with the original X-Men.
Well, I was going to say, especially after Days of Future Past, where they changed the timeline, so they really could do anything they wanted.
Yeah, but this feels like originally it's supposed to be a reboot, and I guess we'll get into the stuff later about the continuity errors and whatnot. But boys, what did you think of X-Men First Class?
I liked that. I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. Daniel?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was pretty good too. It's directed by Matthew Vaughn, who up until this point has directed respectable movies. It's before he started going on that very bad decline, which started with Kingsman 2. But up until then, I actually liked him as a filmmaker. The movie's very stylish and it breathes more, I should say, it breathes life into the X-Men franchise. Because the past couple ones are kind of dull, and this one's more stylish and exciting.
You're saying X3 wasn't stylish?
No, not really. Yeah, I would say that. Well, I would actually say all the X-Men movies up until this one were kind of directed blandly. Like, they're competent, but this one definitely was more stylish. It was, I don't know, it had better pacing. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
compare the directing to this, or compare the directing of this movie to X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it's night and day.
Well, that's an easy pot shot. I mean, I can definitely see what you're saying, where it definitely feels like there's more energy, more life. When you compare it to maybe the first two X-Men movies, because those are considered the good ones, those definitely feel a little more flat, a little more safe. It could almost be like TV movies because they're kind of lifeless. This is a little more stylish.
TV movies.
Well, it's like people always complain about with the first Avengers, how it basically is a TV movie.
Looking back on that, and maybe down the road we'll talk about maybe the MCU movies or the Avengers movies. But that movie does not age well in terms of how it looks. It looks
Yeah.
kind of bad, which goes to your point of what you're saying.
Yeah, this one definitely a little more stylish. Like the scene where they're recruiting all the mutants.
Yeah, and then I think they had like the montage of JFK speaking for the Cuban Missile Crisis and whatnot. So let's get
Yes,
some things
yes.
out of the way. What do you guys not like about the movie?
I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I think the ending isn't the best.
Okay.
More so in the sense that like everything leading up to the ending was good, but then I feel like they would try really hard to kind of force Magneto, like
It,
to kind of tie up loose ends. Like that's when Professor X all of a sudden he gets paralyzed. That's when Raven basically becomes bad. That's where the Brotherhood of Mutants gets formed. All this stuff that kind of sets up like the first X-Men movie and kind of the foundation of the X-Men all kind of happens in the last 10 minutes and it feels kind of rushed.
Hmm.
Like it didn't
yeah,
really feel as earned as the other moments in the movie.
but it also undercuts like it kind of ran into a similar problem with X3. Now I know this is a reboot. It's the beginning of a new trilogy, but I know what you're saying, Craig. It kind of undercuts the main antagonist. It's like, oh, we killed him, or now all these other things, boom, 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 boom. Like,
Well, not even that. I just think it's I mean, that's another point too, but I just think how they're trying so hard to set up all the like the stuff for the X-Men, like Professor X loses his legs, Magneto gets his helmet, he gets joins forms the Brotherhood, and
I
Mystique joins him,
yeah,
all within
that
a matter
was
of like 5 minutes. I know they're
yeah.
setting some of that stuff up, but it definitely feels a little forced in my opinion.
I didn't like Beast's redesign.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I did
was
not
that
like
full
that.
CGI?
I think it
no, I
wasn't.
think I think it's makeup.
Wow,
I
that looks
thought
terrible.
no, I think it was more CGI because in the second one, not to. but in Days of Futures Past, that was full makeup and it looks a lot better
I mean,
than what this was.
they have a makeup artist, so they have to put on makeup.
Well, there's makeup artists for all the main
Well,
actors.
Okay, but they
wrong,
specifically were talking about Beast, so
but I
I'm
still think he
assuming.
looked better in moving forward,
Yeah,
even if
this
it's
one
makeup or
he
not. This I
he
still
looks like
just
he
didn't
has
like
a
it.
cat face that got scrunched.
Yeah,
Well, it's funny too because I think he does look a lot like one of the like. There's multiple interpretations of Beast. He definitely does look the most cat-like and feral, but I prefer the X3 one.
Well, I don't think that's a controversial opinion that the X3 one is the best beast by far.
Well, 'cause some people might say, well, it's technically comic accurate, blah blah blah, but it just doesn't look good.
The first one from this movie's comic book accurate?
Well, I think people might argue that because he looks a little more, it doesn't look as human, but it doesn't look as good either.
Hmm.
I think Days of Futures Past was a good middle ground between this and what we got in X3.
Which one, the old Beast or the young Beast?
Well, in Days of Futures Past, Beast,
Yeah,
like
which
the
one?
How about the
the
young
young
beast?
Beast, yeah, young
Oh,
Beast. Because this one he looked like in the face he almost looked too much like like a kitten. It was like comes with like a cat scrunched. And then it also too like him keeping the glasses for that entire like ending part up until like the fight. It looked a little like I was like because I liked in Days of Futures Past he just dropped the glasses. But
Well, so
anyway,
I'm not
not to go
I'm not
too.
an idiot. I know why the reason why they probably create that serum. Is that in the comics that he can control his looks or no?
no.
Beast. Okay, so yeah,
I mean,
we're
maybe
not
some
idiots.
storyline he
They
could, but
they do that so Nicholas Holt doesn't have to be in the makeup chair for like 8 hours every day just to apply it, and then probably takes 4 hours to remove it
well,
after
same thing with
shooting.
Mystique.
Yeah, we're not idiots. I can see that, but it kind of feels weird that they can control when they. I mean, Mystique, I'll give a pass because that's literally her power. I'll give her a pass. But just Beast, it feels weird that he could just choose when he wants to essentially become
Well,
Beast and not.
well, actually, you're thinking of the next movie
Oh yeah, that's right. In this
because this
movie,
movie,
he shot himself in the foot and then like it ramped it up.
well, yeah, this movie becomes Blue Beast.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay,
Well,
never
your
mind.
point still stands for Mystique, where they clearly don't want to apply the makeup every day, so yeah, she just doesn't. She's always in her Jennifer Lawrence form, never Mystique form.
Well, this was before. I believe this is before the Hunger Games. So Jennifer Lawrence wasn't a big actress at the time of this movie. And then it was very apparent later on in the other movies that she just did not want to do the makeup anymore.
I mean, to be honest, doesn't it take like 6 hours to apply it? So I can understand the
Yeah, but
uh,
Rebecca Romaine did it.
true, and she was in this movie, funny enough.
Yeah, I saw that
She made a brief cameo.
yeah, I was like,
I
was that
kind of forgot
Rebecca
about that.
Romaine? And then it was. I had to look it up because I was like, such a weird cameo, but whatever.
I thought it was fit, and I don't remember because I don't watch the X-Men movies too much, but I definitely did not remember that when I rewatched it.
So I did
It's
a
like, oh,
couple
yeah.
more research too on this one, and of course by research I mean Wikipedia. Azazel is a relatively new character. He came out in 2003, and oddly enough, before I looked that up, I thought he was just some Nightcrawler or a knockoff that they made up for the movie.
Well, because I remember reading like our Marvel books, and like they always mentioned that he was the father of Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler.
But on Wikipedia it says that was the case until it was retconned in 2023.
What do you mean? He's obviously the father. Look at him.
I don't know, maybe in the comics, somebody else. Because isn't Nightcrawler's mom is Mystique?
Yeah. I mean, who else could be the father? I mean, they
We
look
need
just
Maury.
like him.
Where's Maury?
Yeah, I was gonna
Where's
Maury, Maury.
You are not the father.
What is Nightcrawler's real name?
Kurt Wagner.
When it comes to Kurt Wagner, Azazel, you are not the father. Ah!
Let's do like a Bamf dance.
Because he's more easy from the backflip, so it's not as impressive.
So they have Alex Summers, aka Havoc, in this movie, and that already raises some red flags because Alex Summers is Cyclops' younger brother. So why they chose Havoc is a head scratching to me.
with a K.
See, I thought maybe they would have had Havoc be his father. First, when I first saw this, I thought that was my thinking. He's probably the father of Cyclops because, let's be honest, they're not going to go into his real father who's like fighting the Shi'ar Empire or something. It's a bit out there for them.
Because didn't they also have Stryker's dad in this?
Yeah, Mr. Sweeney.
That was it was.
Yeah, because they said Agent Stryker, and then when
No, not Stryker. Mr. Sweeney from Nessie Classified.
Yeah, he was Stryker's father.
Yeah. Wow.
I know you need to appreciate that one, Colin.
That just went over my head.
Because I remember
when
thinking,
I was
like, this guy
watching
looks really familiar.
Yeah. Mr. Sweeney.
Yeah, yes, what's his name? Cyclops' younger brother. Is it? Yeah, it just
He
didn't make
is.
sense. I thought it made more sense if that was his father, but what do I know? At least
I
kind of
guess
fix the continuity.
in this case also, it feels kind of like silly to have Stryker. I know it's the father of Stryker to be a cameo. It's kind of silly.
They're just obsessed with this guy, William Stryker. I don't understand the obsession.
He
I don't know
served
if he
his
was that.
purpose in X2, and I thought he was a great villain in X2. And then it makes sense technically to bring him back in X-Men Origins. Fine, whatever. Even though he's completely different from Brian Cox. And this is just pointless. This is just like, oh my god,
It's so
dad.
forced.
Stryker's dad. He's gonna do bad things to Wolverine.
I mean, that's really it. Like, I just don't understand the obsession with that. To me is the big thing. I don't understand the obsession with Stryker. I know the movies are obsessed with him, but I don't
Well,
understand it as
it's kind of like it goes hand in hand with the movies being obsessed with Wolverine.
true. But even then, he was never Wolverine's greatest adversary. It was really the movies that kind of brought that up.
I don't know what to tell you. I
Well,
agree, though. I think these movies are obsessed with William Stryker, especially the future past too.
well, you just forget X-Men Apocalypse. I mean, I think the only one he didn't appear in was X-Men Dark Phoenix.
He's in Oh, I keep forgetting Apocalypse exists. I keep thinking it goes from future past to Dark Phoenix.
Wait, when does he appear in Apocalypse?
They're like in.
There's this whole like giant scene in the middle of the movie where I think they get captured by Stryker's men after the X Mansion
That's
blows
when they
up.
run into. That's when they
Well,
run into Wolverine. Yeah, we'll get
yes,
to
you
that
get that.
later.
Yeah, you get
Oh
that horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, you get that horrible. Hope we never run to that guy
Yeah,
again.
Cyclops says that. One of 5 lines, probably.
It was like one of the worst. It's like, all right, come on, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, so they're really obsessed with this guy. So, and I just don't understand why. It's kind of funny. The one movie they don't bring him in, Dark Phoenix, the franchise dies. Maybe they should have kept bringing him in.
What would he do? The fact is that when they bring him back for Dark Phoenix, he's going to look nothing like Brian Cox in 10 years.
Well, none of them age anyway.
Yeah. The worst is Lucas Till, which we'll get to later, but Havoc, Alex Summers. I think other than the needless having Havoc really doesn't make any sense. I thought the cast was good. Like the cast of characters they picked were cool. Except Darwin, like that's such a slap in the face. I don't know much about
Oh.
Darwin. But
The guy who adapts
everyone
to
was making
survive
fun
gets
of the
killed
movie.
immediately.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was going to bring this up. Apparently, there's a lot of people upset by that. I didn't think he was that popular of a character, but people seem to be really upset that he just dies.
Well, it is stupid where he says he can adapt to anything, and then he dies trying to adapt to something.
It reminds me of Suicide Squad. The guy who can climb walls dies climbing a wall.
Well, in this sense, like it wasn't like he was adapting to anything. He basically got like a nuke in his stomach and he just died. Like I never had a problem with it, to be honest.
Oh, neither do I. I could care less about. Again, my knowledge of who's an X-Men character from the comics and who's not is. You could lie to me and to my face and I'd believe you. I don't care. If they did his comic character justice. I don't care.
I was thinking like after he died, like after watching the final fight, like what would he have done in that final fight?
Well,
because at least everyone in the final fight had a purpose
they
and they executed it.
All that too, like them training their powers. Banshee, he's been practicing, trying to fly and whatnot. Like everything was meticulously set up. And yeah, what would Darwin do? Would they just shoot at him or something?
Just like toughen up his skin in case they got nuked? Like,
well, he would honestly he'd survive that missile onslaught at the end if Magneto didn't stop it.
Maybe we don't know. I mean, you couldn't survive that thing from Sebastian Shaw.
Well, I guess maybe the movie's logic is that maybe on the outer he
Yeah,
didn't
he's
adapt to anything, but
external.
that was inside, like he shoved it in his mouth and he combusted from the inside. I'm guessing that's the movie's logic. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
kind of funny
maybe.
though. Adapt to this, he just dies.
Good.
Wait, now a question. So for that opening scene, was the first part obviously they had to like get newer cast and everything for when they expanded on when introducing Shaw. But was that first shot like
From the first
with the
movie.
young Eric? Was that shot for shot from the first movie and they just enhanced it?
I have no idea. It did kind of look like that.
No, I
I
thought it
was
was
thinking that.
new.
No,
Like no,
because
no,
that
he's
was
talking about like when
remember
Eric
in
uses his
X.
powers for the to get the
Yeah,
gate off.
remember in the first X Men movie when the first scene is the concentration camp and they show Eric getting separated from his parents and he pulls the gate and they knock him out and then it ends there. They cut it from there too. So I was wondering, it looked exactly like the first movie. So I don't
Oh,
know
I
if they just took it from the first movie and then digitally enhanced it, or they just reenacted the entire thing like shot for shot because
I thought
it looked like a carbon copy from the first movie,
I think
which
they
I
is
thought
probably did
fine.
reshoot it.
I thought they reshot it because they used that a different kid.
Yeah, Craig's probably right. It did look very similar though, Daniel.
Oh
I
yeah, it
do
was
agree.
because remember
Yeah.
I completely forgot it existed because this is the only one that's stuck in my
I
mind.
don't remember what the kid looked like from the first one too. So like, it- they could have just shot it exact. They could have just used that and then got a kid that looked similar when they were doing the other stuff.
Yeah.
So Sebastian Shaw is a real villain, it seems like. And do we know how different he is from the movie, from the comics?
To be honest, I don't know, but I think his plan is completely insane. I mean, this is a man who probably didn't know much about radiation. Because if we're trying to like put the timeline together, let's say he was born, it's kind of like in his 50s, so he was born like what, 1910. He didn't know anything about radiation. He's saying we're the children of the atom. I mean, granted, he's a villain, who cares? But I would just think like children of the atom. Did you even know radiation existed before you got your powers? Like, how long have you been alive? Like Wolverine didn't get his powers from radiation.
And what his powers are so the same ability to absorb various types of pure energy
Whatever that means.
Yeah, they kind of
to
glossed
enhance his
over.
physical attributes.
Yeah, they kind of glossed over that, where he just has to absorb energy, I guess, to appear younger.
So yeah, he's lived a very
Uh,
long. I don't know.
Yeah, and to release it,
But to
but
Craig's point with the nukes, I mean, anything Oppenheimer taught us wasn't like nuclear fission discovered in the late 30s, early 40s. It was like something like that, right?
Well, yeah,
I don't
it's
want to sound
not.
like a complete moron, but isn't that the
Well, I mean, you
case?
could say it was from Madame Curie, who I think it was in the early 19. About a, I don't specialize in radiation, but I'm pretty sure she like discovered and talked about radiation back in early 1900s. So wasn't she considered like the founder of radiation because she killed herself from all the radiation exposure?
Oh my god, what a horrible death.
Well, no, like you didn't know at the time.
Well, I'm just
yeah.
saying it's a horrible death.
Yeah.
Slowly decays your cells.
Well, point is, it's not like radiation was that well known and discovered, and all of a sudden this guy's saying, "Yeah, let's just nuke the world. That's a great idea." Because also, I was thinking of the Fallout TV show. Why do you want to nuke the world? Yeah, it gives you more mutants, but who say they're going to follow you? And you destroyed
Also,
all of your infrastructure.
who's to say all the mutants will survive?
Yeah. Or it's going to turn
I
people
mean,
into mutants. I mean,
yeah, you're. I mean, look at like the mutants that followed him. Like none of them seem to. One guy just could, create whirlwinds, or the other girl can just fly. I'm like, there's nothing about them that guarantees that they're going to survive a nuclear blast, unless
yeah.
um, um unless he was planning on absorbing all of it.
Or the
I
fact
don't.
that they would follow you. You already have mutants trying to kill you. I mean, why do you assume they're all going to follow you?
Also, I was with his plan. Like, why would Emma Frost can like uh she's like a telepath. She can alter people's minds. Like, why wouldn't you just have her just have them nuke each other? Like, just go into like like the military bases, like with Azazel can teleport her in there, and like just have people just send the nukes already. Like you're slowly putting the pieces together, like just to get them to line up against each other. It's like you could just. I think there's a much simpler way about it.
Yeah. Well,
I was
sorry,
gonna
I mute
s-
myself.
I was gonna say it's a little different than what you guys are talking about. I did not like the end of the world scenario at the end of the movie. I mentioned before, like in X2, I like when things are kind of low, not low stakes, but it's not world-ending threat. Because a nuclear holocaust is obviously a world-ending threat. And I feel like maybe for a big team-up movie, that's fine, but your first reboot movie, there's almost a World War III for the final act. I don't know.
Also, I mean,
I like
we
the
don't.
final act to be, or the villain's plot, not I'm gonna end the world because I can. I don't
Well,
like
also
that kind of
too,
stuff.
I know it was the Cuban Missile Crisis and there was the threat of nuclear war, but I don't really think people would be so quick to fire missiles to start World War III and launch all of their nukes. I mean, I imagine maybe there would be a war, but just to all of a sudden launch the nukes, "Hey, across this land, I'm launching all of our nukes." I understand the situation was tense, but I still feel like World War III would have been averted if you were to look at what real happened in real life.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
like Dino's point too, it'd been easier if he just got Emma Frost to nuke the world or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's
Well,
another
speaking of, I was gonna say, speaking of Emma Frost, talking about another continuity issue.
oh yeah,
'Cause she was in X-Men Origins.
So I did read that, and it says that it's a different one. It's not really Emma Frost
the
in
different
X-Men
Emma Frost.
Origins. She just named Emma or something.
Oh yeah, how convenient.
So I think
But
in X-Men
wait,
Origins,
wait, but wasn't Wolverine's like wife, wasn't her last name Frost? Or
no,
they never
it
said.
was like some Native American last name. I think it's like Silver Fox. So I think the character from the comics is part Native American or is full
I
Native
thought her name was
American.
Silver Fox.
Who, Emma Frost?
No, no, Wolverine's lover.
Yeah, that's what
No,
I'm saying. That's her lover's last name is Silver Fox, and so that's her sister in the movie. So
I
it's not
thought it was
Emma Frost.
Frost too.
It is not, Craig. You are wrong.
Huh. Whatever. Well, I was gonna say talking about Emma Frost. I know she's a big character in the comics and people like her, and I don't think they're too happy with this interpretation.
It says Emma Frost served as an inspiration for a character in X-Men Origins Wolverine. She is Kayla Fox. She is Kayla Silver Fox's sister who displays an ability to transmute her skin into a diamond-esque form.
That's 100% a cop out because they realized that
Well, they
she's a very
said
popular
I'm
character.
reading the film depiction of Emma was originally intended to be Emma Frost.
Well, it doesn't matter. Who cares about Emma Frost? What are you saying, Craig? Craig.
I care. She's my favorite mutant.
No, that she's a major character in the comics and people weren't happy with her interpretation.
In
Yeah,
this
she does
movie?
work for the Hellfire. Yeah, she does work for the Hellfire Club, but she ends up becoming. I think she marries Cyclops at one point.
Oh.
Yeah, she'll change to like becoming good and becomes an X-Men and all that stuff.
So she actually. So usually she's a good guy or
I
good
guess
girl?
now. I mean, I
Good
don't follow the X-Men. They're a
hero?
mess. They're a bunch of like degenerates, but I know she does become a good guy.
Okay. Because again, I know so little about all these characters.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of like, there's so many X-Men. Like, what's the the girl with the butterfly wings? Like who are you?
Oh, Angel.
Yeah, Angel. Like, I don't remember you. And Darwin, I remember Darwin. I remember Havoc. I remember Banshee. Like, I remember some of the bigger
Well,
names.
Angel is from 2001. Who's the other one you said?
Um,
Was it Riptide?
oh yeah, Riptide. Did you even say his name once in the movie?
1986. The Banshee, 1967. Okay, so he's relatively old. Darwin, I think, is new. Yeah, Darwin's 2006. So many X-Men characters to keep track of.
Well, so you're never gonna please everybody, so there's no point in trying to.
Well, they could start by doing justice to the main characters of X-Men.
Well, yeah, you could. I mean, I meant
That's
doing
a
justice to the
start.
main characters. I don't mean like you're never gonna have every single character that you like on screen. There's just too many
Oh, yeah,
characters.
yeah. That's what the TV show is for, right? X-Men 97 isn't like a whole bunch of them running around.
I think it's just the main ones again.
Oh,
They
okay.
have they have the Gambit.
Oh, so speaking of continuity errors, they have a very young Moira McTaggart.
Yes, because she appeared in X3 at the very
And
end.
her very Scottish name.
If you stuck around, like unlike me, who didn't, you would have saw her briefly. And apparently, she has powers in the comics too.
I think that was a retcon. I don't think she was supposed to have powers.
All right, then never mind.
Yeah, it says in the first 44 years of publication, Moira didn't have character or powers.
Okay, yeah, I didn't read that then. Okay, I just because on Wikipedia it has like the character name and then it has their abilities under in-story information. So that's what I was pulling from. But I missed the very big second paragraph where it just says in the first 44 years of publication. Okay, yeah, she's a love interest for Charles Xavier. I mean, again, with the X-Men, there's just so many of them that it's hard to have like these, personal relationships with these characters because apparently she's pretty big with Charles, and that wasn't in any of the original movies because they're too busy focusing on Wolverine and whatnot. But it's just
Don't
impossible.
forget his other love interest, Lalandra of the Shi'ar Empire.
I think one thing I did not like was having Mystique so involved because I never cared for Mystique in the original movies. She was always just like Ian
She was like the dirty
McKellen's.
assassin,
Like
yeah.
an
Yeah,
extension of Magneto.
and she would always do like these weird kung fu moves and like kick people and break people's necks or yeah, break their necks with their feet. This one,
Dan Schneider would have liked. She was probably his favorite character.
she's a little too old, I guess. But this one, like, it just feels so. She feels so forced. She really doesn't do anything in the end of the movie.
Well, it feels like a complete 180. I mean, I understand, this is the
I
origin,
thought-
but it wasn't always this.
I thought they gave
Full-blooded
her the worst
assassin.
lines of dialogue.
Well, she's not the best actress,
Proud.
but
Yeah,
I just think it's her
that line was
characterization is
cringy.
terrible.
Well, Craig?
I just think her characterization was terrible. Like, I understand this is the origin. It's not how she's ended. She has to get to that point, but you think she'd maybe be a little more jaded. Like I thought it made more sense if she was on Sebastian Shaw's crew. Like instead of having Emma Frost, you could have Mystique.
You know what I guess is a problem is that they're. I think in the movie's mind, they're trying to be like, well, all these characters originally started good, and then this event changed it to be bad. Why can't they just have characters be bad from the start? They're evil because they like to be evil, and they think what they're doing is right, and nothing's going to change their mind. They don't have to be swayed. You know
Or
what I
something
mean?
like Mystique. I mean, why can't she
Yeah.
just be evil?
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have been a lot better instead of forcing this weird relationship with her and Charles.
Well, that's also against the continuity problems where in the first trilogy, there's absolutely, I don't think they ever said a word to each other. Nothing hinted at any relationship. She was just.
I don't think they
figures.
shared the screen together at all in the first three movies.
And then it's all of a sudden say, "Oh, we grew up together, basically like foster brother and sister." It's like, what? Where was this? Because these writers always think they're so clever at saying, "Well, we just didn't cover that part, but you didn't know about it." Blah blah. It's like, okay, we're not stupid. We know we can see things clearly that they clearly didn't have any sort of relationship. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. It doesn't take a mind reader to figure that out. That you guys didn't have a plan. This was very forced, for their prequel movie because I guess they had to have Mystique.
Yeah, honestly, if Mystique was not in the movie, the quality would not dip in any way and be the
Yeah.
same
I
thing.
think it would have
Or
increased.
like Craig said, like if you do introduce her, just have her like Emma Frost, like she's just with Sebastian Shaw and move along.
Yeah, when Magneto breaks her at the end and she joins his side. I mean, I feel like that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I totally agree. She just felt super forced in this movie.
It's just her character, like mutant and proud. Like people don't like the way I look. Yeah, I get it. You look weird, but that's also the reason why you're going to be becoming this genocidal assassin. I don't know. I think there needs to be a couple steps in between why you get there, or don't show any steps. Just be evil from the start.
Yeah, because I think it was kind of weird that they were trying to. I think, it would have been more impactful if Sebastian Shaw was Magneto's first kill, and then that's what led him down this path. Because he was already killing people before Sebastian Shaw, and it was a great scene when he kills Shaw using the same coin that he wanted him to move earlier in the movie. Good setup and payoff. Wow, isn't it great when movies do that? But I think it would have been a
No.
lot better if that was his first kill. I don't know. That's just maybe me.
Yeah, but then but Magneto's so evil. I mean, I can see him killing all throughout the movie. Like, he was killing his whole life. Like, he can't go a year without killing.
He's always got that itch.
Yeah, I mean, didn't he kill those soldiers?
He killed the people in Argentina. Did he kill that
I mean,
guy in
like, I
Switzerland?
mean, during World War II, like, didn't he crush their helmet on them?
Oh, I mean, maybe I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
what he
yeah,
killed
no,
his whole
no, he
wife.
Yeah, you're probably right.
no, he did. Yeah, after Shaw shot his mom, he doesn't
Oh,
kill
that
Shaw,
scene. Yes, yes,
but he
yes.
kills the soldiers. I was like, wait, why wouldn't he just kill Shaw?
Well, I mean, he just got his powers. I mean, he wasn't. I can see why, but
But you would think his anger, it's activated out of anger. You think he would utilize it on Shaw. Like where Colin's saying, like if Shaw's his first kill, it sets him down this path.
I guess, but I don't know. I just my image of Magneto was like this genocidal maniac, so it's kind of hard to like. I think he was always down that path. Like even if he
I
didn't
agree. Yeah.
survive the concentration camp, he probably still would have been a genocidal maniac.
That's just who Magneto is.
I mean, some people are just born bad, I guess. I know that's also a fictional cartoon character, but comic character, but still.
So we're talking about what we don't like about the movie. Craig, what is something you do like?
Ooh, yeah. Well, there's a lot to like about the movie. I do like the relationship. I do like Charles Xavier.
Yeah,
Even though he's young, he's little, you're trying to hit
24
on.
years old.
He's only 24?
That's what it says on Wikipedia.
How old was Magneto?
It says Magneto was born in 30, so he's 32 because the movie takes place in 62 to 63.
Oh, I was gonna assume they were around about the same age.
I guess Charles is
Anyway,
older. Yeah, I thought they were the same age
Magneto's
too.
older.
Oh,
Anyway, probably Charles Xavier. I mean, his optimism, his hopefulness, that's
yeah, he
always,
is. Yeah, duh. He's born in 30. Sorry, you continue.
well, his optimism, his hopefulness. I always, I gravitate more to that.
I thought the movie was very well cast, and I think that's what everyone praises it for. Uh, Beast is okay in this. He's like that kind of awkward guy.
Well,
I,
yeah, I don't know if he was the best cast because Beast, I feel like is more gregarious. Definitely wasn't.
I know. I think is did they really need to introduce Beast in this movie? I know he's one. Isn't he one of the original X-Men, right?
Yeah, it's Professor X,
But I think you
Beast,
have to
Iceman.
look at the timeline. If you're putting the X-Men into like an actual timeline where people age and whatnot, and you're trying to set it up with, I mean, I guess in this one they didn't really care about continuity with X3. But
Any movie.
how old is Beast is what I'm getting at in X3. Is he a 70, 80-year-old man running around? Or was he like in his 50s, like real Kelsey Grammer was at the time?
I mean, you do have a point, but well, he kind of the timeline wouldn't kind of fit, right? If he was
Well, he's probably the
20.
same age as Charles.
Yeah, because if let's say he was the same thing, like 24, then we go to 2003 when the movie took place. I mean, he'd be in the 60s. That's not unfathomable.
Hmm.
I mean, I know what you're saying. The timeline's not perfect, doesn't line up great, but I don't think it's in this case the worst instance.
I mean, it's
Plus,
born in
You could also say his
1950.
mutation allows him to age slower.
yeah, everyone's got that mutation apparently.
Yeah, except Charles and Magneto just hits them like a bag of
Yeah,
bricks.
talk about aging horribly in 10 years. I mean, Jesus, I've seen heroin addicts age better than those guys.
Yeah, heroin, coke addicts. I was gonna say, and this has nothing to do with the movie, but did you happen to recognize that guy in the American boat, the captain?
Oh, it's Michael
Yeah,
Ironside.
Yes,
yeah, it's from
from
Total
Starship
Recall and
Troopers, Total Recall. I think he was in Top Gun,
Yeah, he was.
and he was also the voice of Darkseid in the DC TV shows.
Oh, was he?
That's why I recognized him.
Oh,
I
well,
recognized him from
Total
Starship.
Recall.
Yeah, Starship
Yeah,
Troopers. Yeah, he was
in Total
disabled.
Recall. See the body, Victor.
Yeah, just a nice little cameo, at least for me.
And I did like Charles. I especially liked when he was helping everyone develop their powers, like Craig saying, his optimism, trying to bring out the best in them and everything. I thought that was probably the best part of the movie was the training the team and helping them develop.
Said optimism and hopefulness is a lot more. infectious than, just dour
Murder
depression
Man.
and think of someone that's hopeful. You lift people up, you don't put them down. Because even other characters they'll say are they're like, oh, they're good and stuff. They help people. It's like, I don't know, is Captain Marvel really all that great? Just putting people down. Characters like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Also,
Yes, Craig, you go.
I was talking about Professor X. So in the comics he's American,
Yes.
and so I was thinking about this. So he grew up in that house in America, still has an English accent, but he still goes to school in England. I mean, when he go to school in America?
Well, I think they said, or I read somewhere that said maybe it was on the Charles Xavier X-Men movie Wikipedia page, but it said that the logic was that his mom is English and he lives in America. I guess the dad's American, and maybe that's why he's in England, and that's why he has an English accent.
I mean, it's not the end of the world. I was just thinking, this, I don't know, does it make too much
Because
sense?
honestly, I don't think that's a. I mean, it's only a good change because they had Patrick Stewart be the original Charles Xavier. I don't mind him being some, stoic English guy in a wheelchair
Oh no,
running,
it's not
wheeling
even to
around.
make fun of the English. I have other jokes for that. It's more about just the fact that he grew up in America. I don't know. It's not even that big issue. Just why would he go to school in America?
So maybe he didn't want to, Craig. Maybe he want to go to Cambridge. Ever thought of that?
I thought he went to Oxford.
Oh, whatever. I don't know any other. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. All right, it's not a big deal.
Trying to think of what else about this movie. Pointless Wolverine cameo. Yeah, check.
Although in all honesty, that was probably one of the better cameos I've seen in the movie.
Oh yeah, the worst was obviously Stryker just being there for no reason.
Well,
Other,
that I mean, like in general movies, I mean, they have to have the Wolverine cameo. This was definitely one of the better ones. Like they are trying to recruit him, he says, "Go away."
yeah, that's fine.
But, it's played for
I
laughs and
mean, at
stuff.
least with the striker one, it was home. They didn't like make a stupid connection to like him and Wolverine or further elaborate. It was just there in the sense of I thought it blended and like I mean I know they mentioned like oh you're thinking of your son William like, but at least they didn't like force it into like something further like beating you over the head like oh remember
But
Stryker
they,
was
but they are
Wolverine.
though because there was absolutely he served no purpose in that scene at all, other than to say his name and William's name. That could,
But he was involved as but he was throughout the movie like when they kept having the government officials.
well, it could have just been another guy. It could have been I don't know, Admiral Bad Guy or Admiral Jim Johnson. Just like
Admiral
some
Bad Guy.
regular guy.
What was the jet from Star Wars?
Oh, General Pride.
Yikes. Well, this is better than Star Wars, so we don't have to worry
Oh,
about that.
well, there's not a high bar to clear.
Yeah,
I guess
people like Star Wars.
I don't know about you guys, but I didn't like the part where they're like doing the names.
Oh, I was gonna mention that. I guess it's also the delivery. She's like, "You're gonna. We could call you, or we thought of Magneto."
Yeah,
It's like, where did you get that name from?
it was one thing for like the kids to be like coming up with names for each other, they're all excited and whatever. But like, yeah, when they did it with like you're Professor X and we're gonna call you Magneto, I was like, oh,
Well, and the worst part too is at the end, Magneto starts calling himself that. He goes, "Call me," and they zoom in and see so slowly,
yeah.
Magneto.
It's not it'd be like if this was the first one, you don't know who these characters are. That's one thing, but you already know who these characters are. You don't need to rebeat it over the head of everyone of like their names and how they everyone knows them.
Well, I thought, was it X2, where at least in Mystique's mind, she calls herself Mystique because that's her. She like I don't answer to my slave name, so that's what I always kind of assumed. Same thing for Magneto. His real name is Magneto in his head, not Eric, because he's just that far gone. I don't know. That's what I always
I
thought of.
think
I
it was
thought it
X
made more
three.
sense. Oh. The point is, I always thought that was along the lines of like they've completely, like oh, we're no longer humans. We're mutants, so that they take a mutant name as opposed to a human name. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I see what you're saying. Like they abandoned their real name and then they're calling themselves that silly name.
Yeah, as a way to like identify themselves now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like again, you don't need to like force these names so they all got their names. Because especially too, where they go beast. Like originally they were to call him Bozo. Like no, you're no longer Bozo. You're Beast. Like all right,
Yeah,
little forced.
and also too, what is Angel? Is that so? Is that another X Men? Because there's already Angel The guy with the big wings.
I thought that was
That's a
Archangel.
no. His name, he started out as Angel because he looked like
Yeah.
your Angel. So I do pull the Wikipedia. Her name is Tempest, which sounds even more like a stripper name.
I think it sounds like that because she is, isn't she not?
I don't know about the comics, but they're calling
Well, in the
themselves
movie.
Tempest.
Yeah, she came out in 2001.
Yeah, kind of lame.
I don't know. I guess it's like another way to. Oh, look, there's two angels running around.
But her name doesn't even fit Angel. She acts more like a bug with her,
If
wings
they
and she can
called her
shoot
like,
acid.
yeah. Yeah, they should have called her
Firefly
like
a bad name?
yeah, or
Yeah,
like
every time I
stink
How
call
about
or
the
her
like called her
Wasp?
or like stink bug.
Stink. Stink.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
okay.
definitely better.
Yeah, I do agree that we're gonna call you Magneto. And you're Professor X.
Like it was fine if the kids jokingly doing it, but like I don't know, like yeah, and then like oh yeah, I know your name now, Beast. Oh,
So, Colin, you've been talking to us a lot about what we liked and disliked. Now, what did you like or what did you dislike?
I like the cast. I thought they were all pretty solid. I already told you I did not like. I mean, I guess it ties into real life where the Cuban Missile Crisis was probably the closest ever the United States was on to the brink of war. Fine, but I guess for a comic book movie, I like things not being world ending, at least for some of them. Like Infinity War, I'll give a pass. Given the circumstances, I'll give a pass if they have that world ending thing. But like I liked in the other ones, the other X Men movies are like more tame with their final act. But that's just me.
I guess maybe the world ending would have been better down the line, like even though it wasn't executed great. Apocalypse, it's a build up. They're established. They've been a team for a while now. I guess it's a little heavy for a first movie, like when you're training all
Yeah,
these.
you're
You're
introducing
training these kids. You're helping them develop their powers. Like you want, and then all of a sudden they're ready to go stop a nuclear holocaust.
you're introducing the new blood of like a new line of movies, and then they have to stop a nuclear holocaust in the first movie.
Well, again, that's my point. I don't think it would have ended in the nuclear war,
Well,
but
yeah,
I know
but
what you're saying.
it's just that like the first X Men movie, they just want to stop Magneto from using that device of turning all the world leaders into mutants. X2, they're just trying to. What are they even trying to do? They're using
Well,
Stryker's
no,
using
technically it was
Cerebro.
world ending.
Well, it became world ending at the end when Magneto's like target all the humans, but Stryker
I
just wanted to
guess
kill all the mutants.
I guess what you're saying is on a non-global scale. Like it is potential world ending, but it's kind of contained and kept under the wraps. Like now where it's like publicly televised.
With X2 though, it just felt like it felt more personal, obviously because Stryker just hates mutants. I think there has to be a reason for it to be like world ending, and if there's like an actual antagonist who has good reasons, or not good reasons, but he believes what he's doing is right, then I can get behind that. This
No,
is
I
just
want to nuke the world so I guess more mutants will come and follow me.
yeah, that's silly. Like Stryker wanting to kill the mutants, I get, and he made it pretty clear in the movie why. And
Like,
then
Jesus, Jason, that's your son.
yeah, my son's been dead.
You killed him.
And then X3 is just a mutant cure, and then they got schlocky with the Fire Phoenix or whatever it's called.
Even
Yeah,
then, it wasn't world ending. It was
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like I'll give that a pass. That's fine. That wasn't world ending. I don't know. I always feel like if every superhero movie has that, it just feels kind of silly. How many world-ending events are these characters going to go through? You know?
true, but it's their job to, well, maybe not their job, but it's their responsibility to, save the world. That's what they do.
I mean, everything else though, I was totally fine with. I guess some of the it was some of the schlocky, like some of the dialogue.
yeah, I did think
It
some of
mostly
the
came out of Jennifer Lawrence's mouth. I don't know whose decision it was to give her some of the like the hammy words to say or hammy lines, but unfortunate for her. I did not like, as I said, the mystique.
Is she a good actress? A genuine question.
I have not seen a lot of her movies to make that assumption, but from this movie, I wouldn't say she's a good actress, but I'm sure she has a. I mean, I think she's won maybe an Oscar. She's been nominated, so I'm sure she's capable.
I'm not saying this is a dig, but from what I've seen in the X-Men movie, she's not a good actress.
I think
Maybe
honestly,
maybe she just doesn't fit the role.
it's
Maybe
maybe
that's
that,
probably that too.
and maybe she just
Because
checked out in those movies. Maybe she just doesn't care.
yeah, because did you ever see the movie Silver Linings Playbook?
No, but I know she's
Of
in it.
course not.
Well, obviously, Craig. It involves the Eagles, but no, but like she's good in that. Like I think
Yeah,
did
I
she
think
get?
she's.
I think she got nominated for that, or she might have won for that.
Yeah, she did Best Actress, so she's definitely capable of being a good
Yeah,
actress. It's just, I
Okay, well
guess.
maybe she can only play herself. Then maybe she can't, act
I
in front
think
of other people.
honestly, she just really didn't care for the role.
I never got invested in the Hunger Games, so I
Well, you're not a
can't
teenage
speak to
girl.
that. Fair.
Well, isn't that a movie for teenage girls?
I don't.
It's a YA novel, Craig. It's a YA.
Yeah. Usually that means teenage girls.
And guys, don't be.
I I don't know a guy that's seen the Hunger Games.
World's changing, Craig. Time we change too.
That was Vulture, right?
Yeah.
Also, in Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
Right, the world is changing.
Evidently, that will be a line.
So like Craig, I agree with you. I did not like the ending where it felt super rushed, and it's like, okay, we got to get everybody in the same position they're going to be for the next 60 years, no, 50 years.
Because
Yeah,
I remember
it was
that
just kind of
being,
Yeah,
silly.
because then also it felt super rushed too. Like when, all right, they stop Shaw, and then all of a sudden both militaries, without knowing what's going on, are like, yeah, just aim and fire at the beach. Like
they go
what?
from about to annihilating each other to let's team up and annihilate the mutants in a matter of like 10 seconds.
Even though they
Well,
don't
not even that. Not even
even
annihilate
though
the
it's not like a
mutants. Annihilate the 10 people on the beach in one section.
Yeah.
You're going to
yeah,
launch like 80
did you
missiles.
need all ships to fire at it?
Yeah, the unload him, isn't that overkill? I think you might like level the island.
Wouldn't that have been Cuba too? So you're about to you're about to level a country to kill 10 people on a beach.
Don't worry, guys, we got him. I think the meme's like overkill, where like they just shoot up and destroy the whole building.
Yeah,
FBI, open up, and they just destroy the house.
It's like the Team America where they're trying to save Egypt and they blow up
Yes,
everything.
yes, yeah. No, I thought it was Paris. Where they knock over the
Well,
Eiffel
they did that in the
Tower.
beginning, and then they did it to Egypt again. Oh yeah, he's running into the Louvre. We got him.
Blow up the
Oh
Louvre.
no! He's like, I got him. He shoots a missile, misses, and hits the Eiffel Tower, blows it up. I missed him.
Oh, also, I was thinking like from SpongeBob. We did it, Patrick. We saved the town because of that butterfly.
Oh yeah. Not to go on a tangent though, just that the episode was a trip where they just had the close up of the insect's face
Oh yeah,
every time they're talking about the butterfly.
the zoom in the. Zzz.
Oh god.
Also,
yeah,
that was great.
Ending was a little silly because it kind of felt like the ending of Revenge of the Sith, where they're setting up. The ending was rushed, so they could set up everything leading up into the New Hope, and everyone's gonna be doing the same thing for the next 20 years.
Well, I will say this. I think the ending of Revenge of the Sith set up stuff better than this one.
Oh yeah, I mean
Hot take, if
that's
it is
only
one.
that one's 20 years. This one is like 40, 50.
Well, also too, I mean, Revenge of the Sith, the whole movie was about Anakin's downfall, so
Yeah.
it was set up. The whole movie was building up to that.
I think it would have been better.
The word of Star Wars make me angry now.
I think it would have been a much better ending had all right, they saved the day, and then it switches to the political side where it's like, well, oh, like these mutants, like, and then it's like you start the talks of people like, what do we do with them, and then it goes into that direction instead of like immediately like, all right, let's just bomb them. Like what?
Yeah, that was silly.
Yeah, it's a bit extreme of like,
And then Charles getting paralyzed too, even
Yeah.
though we've seen him in the 80s standing.
Yeah, also not just X-Men Origins Wolverine, but you talk about X3 as well.
X3, yeah.
yeah,
Because
I forget what year it said, but it was in the 80s. I think 86.
Yeah, whenever X3 took place 20 years before that.
And boy, is that going to conflict with X-Men Apocalypse. Let's
Well,
see.
that
Yeah,
just like again the
yeah,
continuity stuff, but
yeah,
I feel like maybe just he wanted to
Yeah,
end it where maybe just
1986.
Magneto goes his separate way. Like maybe Magneto doesn't stay with
yeah,
the group, but
and
Professor
then
X stays with the.
yeah, and then it ends with like Moira getting debriefed, and then the government's like, all right, what do we do about this potential threat of mutants?
And
Like
then
we
you
should
show William
investigate
Stryker's
this.
father
Yeah,
because they're obsessed with that guy.
And then Stryker's father shows Stryker, who shows his son, Jason. So you could see the whole lineage of the Strikers, even though Jason would have been born by then.
or then actually better yet, Colin Stryker goes, I've heard of a tale of this guy they call the Wolverine. It shows a picture of his granddad fighting World War I alongside Wolverine.
I was gonna say, I think it was in Days of Future Past where they always go, "Oh, how is your son Jason?" They always say, "Oh, how's your son Jason?" Like in this when they ask, "How's your son William?" They should have said, "Hey, how's your grandson Jason?" Just got to the point.
Did Jason kill your wife yet? And he's like, what?
Yeah, did Jason kill your daughter-in-law yet?
Oh, last time I meant, yeah, daughter-in-law. Like, what?
Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
Did your son send Jason to the Xavier Institute yet?
Your grandson with heterochromia. I wonder if that was also a callback to Jason Stryker.
Well, the girl with the heterochromia?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought of that now. I mean, it'd be kind of stupid if they did that, but I was just thinking about that.
Are you implying that that woman might have been William Stryker's future wife?
No, just the fact that, his son
They
had that, so they
retcon
wanted to have that
they
in there.
retcon the reason he hates mutants because Charles shacked up with his wife in college.
That's Charles actually. You are the father. Also, that was
I,
the woman from The Mummy, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes.
Give me a chuckle.
The
I was chuckling that Charles was trying to
Tom
pick up
Cruise.
co-eds by just talking about mutation at a bar.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
And then
No one.
he tried to use it on Moira too. I just like he gives like this big speech and then he's in the pub chugging this ridiculously like out of a ridiculously long glass too.
But that's another point too. Like again, he grew up in America. Why like going to the pub? That's like a British thing. I know you could say it's the same thing as a bar here in America, but still, like the love for the pub. It's like the British and those countries love their pubs. I don't know. Again, it's not really this big issue. It's not really this big deal. I just think it's kind of weird. He's basically an American.
I think the worst thing this movie does is set up a bunch of timeline errors, which unfortunately bleed into the other movies, which we'll eventually get to.
It never gets fixed.
I did have one of the things I did have a huge issue with as on Charles getting paralyzed, other than the point it was completely unnecessary, was Moira was only shooting for Magneto's head. Like all her shots were hitting him in the helmet. Like why wouldn't you just shoot him in the body?
I think she was going for the kill because if he shoots him in the leg, he could just telepathically get the bullet out of him and kill her.
I mean, also, you've been around this guy for maybe a month or so, and his whole powers are to control metal. So the first thing you do is to stop him is to shoot. I mean, I would have
Also,
tried to
no one
tackle
else,
him.
like Beast or no one else, went after him.
You gotta tackle the guy. Well, I think he pushed some people. He can push them away, but still, like if I was Moira, I would have tried to tackle him.
Or like get like some wooden club and
Yeah,
hit
bonk
with
him
it.
over the head.
I think there are coconut trees there. Just slug him over the head with the coconut. I'd probably kill him, honestly.
Look like I did with the coconut.
Those are no joke.
Or Beast just tackles him and takes the helmet off. Like then what? Charles can disarm him.
Or just something. I mean,
Well,
that's why I felt like the ending was forced. I mean, she should have known not to shoot him. Like, it's not an option for you. Because again, it's not like she never met this guy before. She was working with him for at least a month.
Yeah, she knows like all their powers.
Very well aware of it. I mean, she saw it in action several times.
You know what? I'm just gonna say it. She did not think that through. Just gonna say it.
Well, the fact Magneto's deflecting them too. I mean, he could stop a whole barrage of missiles from both sides, the Soviets and the Americans, and hold them in the air. But if all of a sudden he's deflecting bullets, why don't you just stop the bullets in midair?
Well, I know it's not a big deal. I don't really care how Charles becomes a paraplegic, but didn't he get like crushed by some debris in in the comics?
I think
Yeah,
so.
it was like an alien scout dropped like a cinder block on him, something like that.
What?
I'm not
Alien
kidding. Look it
Yeah,
up.
some alien just drops a cinder block. He's like walking in the street, just
Look it up.
No, I believe you.
I don't know. I'm thinking of those like those
He's just
1920
getting
stuff.
groceries,
You
and
just
an alien just clocks him with a cinder
you just
block.
said it so casually, like yeah, some alien just dropped a cinder
No, because
block
I
on him.
think of those like 1920s people where they're pulling up the piano with the the rope, and like they just drop the cinder block on them and paralyze them.
It says, just quickly looking it up, en route to the United States, Charles encountered the alien scout Lucifer in the Himalayas. Why are you en route from the Himalayas? But to prevent any interference in his racist planned invasion of Earth, Lucifer dropped a massive stone block on Charles, crippling his legs.
Would it mean you're
Interesting.
just to kill him? I mean, wouldn't me? I just feel like if you're gonna drop something on him, wouldn't you kill him? I mean, why you just paralyze him? I feel like that's especially for a guy whose whole powers
That's
are his
just
mind.
cruel.
He's playing with them.
Well, also in the comics too, for it, like looking at the original, Charles isn't that old, is he? Like from the start of the X-Men, he's not that old, right?
Well, yeah, because it started in the 60s, so maybe he was what in his 40s, maybe 50s at the latest.
Because it
I
said
don't
he
know the
was
exact
drafted
age.
into the Korean War,
Okay, yeah, so he would have been
probably
30s.
18 at least in the 50s. Oh, the point I'm getting at is like the
Okay,
dynamic where he's not that much older than his students. Unlike, and I guess that's
so
like
he
the
actually
problem.
lost his hair just due to his powers. I'm reading. By the time
Yeah,
he graduated high school, he's been bald most of his life.
because I remember, I think that was,
He's
I think it was
bald
like
and
an early
broke.
comic about his origin story, and they showed him always bald.
They said like by the time, due to his powers, by the time he graduated high school, he's like bald, like lost all his hair. So he's essentially been, as long as the comics have known him, he's been bald.
Well, it's also my problem with an X-Men Apocalypse, but that's another issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have a couple movies to get through before we could
I
talk
feel like
about
I feel like
that.
this one they should just had him just have James McAvoy wear a bald cap, just an easy fix.
Also, like men lose their hair. This isn't, I don't know, it's not like it's that uncommon. It's not like he's uniquely bald. Like a woman being bald is much more rare than a man being bald. Like Moondragon, that's kind of her thing. She's like a bald woman. You know who Moondragon is, right?
Yeah,
No,
Okay, well, Dino does. He knows what I'm talking about. Point is, she's a bald
maybe they'll
telepath.
have Jada Pinkett Smith be the next Charles Xavier
Or Moondragon.
or Moondragon. I, I couldn't help myself.
Good.
Will Smith's gonna find me and just like beat me up.
Oh, yeah, like he'd beat you up. Oh,
oh,
he'd barely even commit to a slap.
yeah. He wants you to keep your wife's name out of your mouth, but not other people out of his wife. Anyway,
Right.
Oh, so speaking of cringy or Wikipedia surfing, so usually after every movie, I usually read Wikipedia just in case I miss something or just read something interesting. And I was going through like the Wikipedia for, this movie, and I saw under Magneto, it was kind of cringy. The director Matthew Vaughn said
Oh, is that that
that,
Star Wars Han Solo thing?
yeah, Eric Lenter is straight up cool. He's like Han Solo at Professor X's Obi-Wan Kenobi. It makes you want to go and strangle him because I really hate these Star Wars comparisons. Like people are really got to get over their Arrested Development. Han Solo, Magneto's a genocidal maniac. When did Han Solo want to kill like a whole race of people? Am I missing something?
yeah, he was just some smuggler.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh yeah, he's like the cool smuggler. Like, every time I hear people thinking of treating Star Wars as this great work of art, I want to strangle them.
Yeah,
It makes me very
he's
violent.
like the Chewbacca to the other guy's R2D2.
Oh, I know where you live. I will strangle you. It really just irks me when people treat Star Wars like this great work of art. I know this isn't about Star Wars. It just bothers me so much.
There's probably a fan edit out there somewhere where, like, instead of Beast roaring, it's just Chewbacca's noise.
No, it's just R2D2. Yeah, Craig, I did see that too, and I was like, oof.
Like, do we miss something where everyone loves Star Wars so much, where it's like the only thing they can compare a movie to? Like, I'm not the biggest movie buff, but I've seen other movies besides Star Wars.
That's kind of like those cringy fan castings you always see of like whatever popular franchise could get adapted to a movie, and it's always like Tom Holland's always picked. It's like all these MCU actors, and some of the comments are always like, "Do you guys watch anything other than MCU movies?" It's kind of like that.
Well, no,
Well, in the sense that they're only making like comparisons to one media. You know, they're making from Star Wars. These people are pulling actors from the MCU.
I could see Tom Holland as a young Charles Xavier.
No, you can't.
I can see him as a young Han Solo.
Oh, look at this, man! I'm paralyzed. This is cool. This is so cool.
Don't worry, Mr. Stark has a suit that can make me walk again.
He did it for War Machine. Yeah, I understand what you're saying too. I have seen that, but when people talk about great works of art, I hate when they bring up Star Wars because Star Wars is just it's nothing special, and it bothers when people say like, oh, one of the greatest works of our, the American works, one of the greatest works of our civilization. It's like,
Craig is
please kill
spurging
me.
out again.
Please kill me. This is so
Craig,
cringy.
you're spurging out. Well, let's get back on track with X-Men First Class. 'Cause, I feel like we're going to wrap it up. It sounds like what we were saying was pretty negative, but I mean, that's probably the last 10 minutes we're just like on a tangent, but I still do think it's a good movie. Is it as good as X2? I don't know, because I think X2 was probably, at least for me, a better movie from start to finish. Or maybe this movie's highs were higher than X2's highs. But I like the ending just bogs it down for me for this.
And also the villain, too.
Like X2 is a consistent arrow up, and maybe this one's arrow goes up to a 9, but then it dips down. You know, it has a high and low, and X2 is good, like throughout. That's what I think.
Even
A
though they
lot of-
played in sync, this one didn't play in sync.
Oh yeah, gee, I wonder why, Craig.
Well,
NSYNC
we're talking
was-
about being good.
no one from NSYNC was born yet.
I'm just saying you're talking about X2 having only positives. I didn't have to hear any NSYNC in this one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but when they played Bye 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 in X2, Wolverine was disgusted by it, and he's like, oh, turn it off.
All I'm saying, I'm leaving it up to you.
All right, Dana, what is your final thought on X-Men First Class?
For the most part, it's a good movie, and I guess I would say it's a nice change up in terms of like style.
I think it does breathe new life. I think I
Yeah.
said that earlier. It does breathe new life into the X-Men. Craig, what say you?
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I mean, I know where we would rank it, maybe we'd have to talk about that later, but it's definitely one of the good X-Men movies and on the good tier, like actually good, not just like mediocre or okay.
I mean, if we're gonna do, I mean, real quick, let's do maybe a quick tier list. I think
No.
no, not even
Save
like
it for
what's
the
the
end.
best. Okay, well, we all know which one's last so far, but I would say this one's definitely better than X-Men X3 and then X-Men Wolverine. So, not that that's really good company, but I think it's the second best so far.
Yeah, it fits.
Okay, all right. Daniel, have anything else to say?
I was just thinking about Craig bringing up that Star Wars comment. It's funny that the guy compares Magneto to Han Solo. Like, why wouldn't you compare? Wouldn't Wolverine be a more appropriate comparison? Like the reluctant hero, kind of brash, doesn't care, plays by his own
I
rules.
don't think the genocidal maniac.
I feel like Wolverine would actually be a very decent comparison. It's just the genocidal maniac.
What's cool about Magneto? Like, real quick, what's cool about his personality? The man survived the Holocaust. He watched his mother die in front of him. What's cool about that? That's tragic. Like, I don't know what Matthew Vaughn was thinking with that comparison. He probably wasn't. He's probably, I don't know, thinking about making Argyle or something.
Thinking about that guy's actor's hair.
But I don't know. That's just such a
I never
stupid
got
thing
the
to say.
obsession with Magneto, but I think my armchair psychologist theory is that the X-Men represent oppressed minorities, and Magneto is like the biggest face of, I guess, fighting back. So I think it's their power fantasy of like, oh, if I had Magneto's power, I would take out my rage on the world, like what Magneto does. That's my theory. So why people like him. It's not so much they like him; it's that they feel
I just-
power through him.
I've never gone that in depth on Magneto. I always thought he was a cool villain. He has a cool look, from the comics and
Which they never
everything.
used. I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
It does look a little silly from live action. Like I forgot to mention real quick, his costume at the end looked like pajamas with a metal helmet.
Well, that's how when you go too accurate. I mean, you could give him a little
I
more.
thought he looked fine in X3. I thought they looked fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, his comic look just looks like pajamas. He
When brought to
looks.
live action.
Yeah, yeah. He just looks silly.
But yeah, I always thought Magneto was a cool villain. He's pretty powerful, and he's not only exclusive to X Men. He's fought countless other like heavy hitters, but I, he's just always been a villain. Like there isn't like trying to this sympathetic approach to him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it only works in direct contrast to Charles. Outside of it, I think if you don't have Charles there as like the try to keep pulling him back, it's like, oh yeah, he's just some maniac.
He is a maniac.
Well, I don't know which X-Men movie we're gonna do next, and we'll discuss it. So it'll be a surprise next week. But until then, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
And
We will see you next week.